Okay, did the goat path up the side of this hill, Prescott Mountain, getting to Roxanne Point. I was trying to get up here for the sunrise. I let myself have an extra 15 minutes. I was just feeling super tired this morning. A lot going on, trying to, manage normal business. And if you're in the crypto markets, you know what's been going on the last couple of days. So really moving assets around, swaps, trying to buy on dips, really paying attention to the marketplace. Yeah, I'm crying this morning because I slept too late, and I got up here to the mountain 30 minutes behind my schedule. So lose points today for slack-assing. So I'm going to give you a view of what my lazy carcass missed this morning, as my dad would call it. All right, so that's the sun there, sitting up over McLaughlin. I was going to try to catch it just breaking out behind it. And that's the Siskiyou Mountain Range over there. See if I can get you a little closer. It's beautiful out there this morning. Quiet up here. That's the observation point where all the towers are up on top of Roxanne. But this is the first break I had in the trees this morning. Pretty heavy foliage coming up the side of the mountain there. I went the vertical goat path trying to recapture for lost time. So what I was listening to this morning, as you can see, one plug in this ear, no plug in that ear. So I'm listening to the nature in one ear, and on the other ear, I'm listening to Real Vision, Raoul Paul's finance information. I'm listening to macroeconomics with Howlin' Alden, is seeing what's going on with this whole COVID situation. Money supply, what's going on with treasuries, how they're going to eat up a 1.8 billion overissuance last year that they did in advance of this to try to ease some of the tsunamic events that have to occur, how they're going to deal with the dollar weakening, and what are they going to do with our economy in this, quote, opening environment, and how they're going to deal with the unemployment, as many companies are changing their entire framework on not needing to have a major footprint in an office environment because they've been forced to see how they can function in a remote workforce, and they have found that they can succeed, and it is less expensive, and they don't have fixed expenses like they did before. They can move individuals from employee to contractors. They can release benefits. They don't have to do that anymore. They don't have to deal with worksite environments and the cost of operations. Simply everyone can work from the comfort of their home at a 1099 rate with less benefits, and be able to shift significant amounts of those expenses directly to the bottom line. That's what happens in a corporation when you can X out expenses. Those expense categories that were budgeted, those dollars fall directly to your bottom line and show a profit. So you have a lot of these companies, not zombie companies, but you have a lot of these companies here showing themselves as profitable. And it's not profitable because their sales are up, and it's not profitable because they have new client acquisition. It's going to show profits simply because they've had to restructure in order to survive. And so the profits that they're demonstrating, especially even companies that are public, then they do their earnings, and it looks like they're in a good financial condition. And the answer is they're not. This is just a survival mode. People don't know how to read that, and therefore they're going to buy and invest and push the price of these stocks up when there's really no reason to buy them, because it hasn't been anything that management has done, nothing that sales and marketing has done. There's no innovation or creativity from the company's standpoint to outpace competitors or to open new marketplaces. It's simply the necessary demand that COVID forced on every company, and it was their standard response that generated these false looking profits, and they're not going to continue. So it's not sustainable. So buying stock in these types of companies now, once everybody figures that out and it normalizes. When does it normalize? A quarter or two down the road. And you're going to see that spike in those positions of increased share price, you're going to see those plummet. So if you're in those companies and you bought into those, then write them up and don't try to find the peak. Get to the ceiling, get yourself a good target percentage, and then sell and get out. And if you're advanced and you can look at, what would you say, look at shorting those companies, and then you can do that. There's some really creative ETFs out there, and some ETFs that you can actually do this kind of strategy where they're getting over the different curves of short versus long, and they do all the advanced shorting for you. So you just have to look them up. And Real Vision is a good place. In fact, I just watched a video like a day or two ago, really advanced new ETF strategy that has been legalized now, just like in the last 6 months or so. So if that's a strategy that you understand, there's really sophisticated ETFs that do all that work for you, managed by professionals. Instead of you having to figure it out and then manage it, they do it for you and they charge you a nominal fee. Pretty good deal. So that's it. That's the kind of nerd stuff that I'm doing this morning. If you're in the crypto market like I am, obviously Ethereum has weathered the storm more than the bellwether Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will still get its bounce. I know it traded down, I think below 49 or something like that. But it's a big boy. There's a lot of institutional money behind it now, not to mention Michael Saylor. And when you have a moron like Elon going out here and making reckless comments that are totally unwarranted in a very how would you say, underdeveloped environment like crypto, and then seeing so many people run for the door with somebody screamed fire in a theater, that's what Elon did. He's an idiot as much as he is a savant in running SpaceX and Tesla. What he did to the crypto market and caused a 20% reset in a matter of days simply because he bought $1.5 billion, said it was going to be used to buy Teslas, and then all of a sudden reversed his position and said, oh no, mining crypto is environmentally unfair. Well, in fact, if you take a look, I watched a deal yesterday on a guy that unpacked Tesla's company itself to look at their profits. And, he's a magician. They actually make very little money on selling cars. What they have made all their money, especially first quarter of this year, is selling their environmental certificates, basically the way the government gives them benefits for running an environmentally, quote, friendly company. They sell those certificates off to companies that aren't environmentally friendly, like their competitors, General Motors, and they make a huge profit line. In fact, the majority of the profit that Tesla made was on selling those certificates to their competitors and not off actually manufacturing cars and selling those. So it's a real, don't look at the man behind the curtain. So I think as we go along, we'll find out that as brilliant as Elon is, he's reckless with his power. And now that he is, goes back and forth with Bezos as, who's number one or number two day by day versus stock price, the wealthiest man in the world. When you see someone with that level of power and acting so irresponsibly, and having small investors that don't know how to manage and hold their position, and they're seeing 10, 15, 20% of invested capital in Bitcoin that they didn't really have to invest in the first place, but they invested for FOMO, fear of missing out. So they went and jumped in because everybody else was getting in, and they wanted to be chic, and they wanted to be cool, and they wanted to own some of this crypto, and they jumped in, bought a big boy, which is good, as opposed to buying some shit coin out there, number 5,248 on the list, and just getting wrecked, REKT, immediately. What they did is bought the biggest boy in the industry, the whale, I guess you'd say, the leader of the pack, the one that's plowing the ground for all the other ones. And they didn't know how to buy Ethereum because they haven't done their homework. So they bought the big one. He makes a stupid statement like that. They see it pop out. They get scared. They jump out. And what happens is the institutional monies, the guy that had the big pockets, the trained, what would you call them, sharks, the vultures in the industry that sit on Wall Street. They sit there and waited for the small people that opened a Robinhood account or jumped on Coinbase and, spent 1,000 for 4 or 5,000 or whatever. And then Elon makes a stupid comment like that and they all jump out. And guess who's sitting on the side of the line? Because when someone's selling their position, someone else has to buy it. Anytime you're in some type of investment, it's called a zero-sum game. So in order for you to sell at market, there has to be a buyer at market to buy it. And all an exchange is someone that's connecting those together in an electronic digital fashion. So what happened is you have these trained investors out here as vultures sitting on a fence, taking all these individuals that just feel like they're jumping into, whatever you want to call them, like a rescue boat, a safety boat, because the Titanic is going down. And so they take advantage of that. And they could go, hey, that's just what investing is. If you're not big enough to lose money, you shouldn't be here. And they do all this type of justification for, profiting from other people's pain. And all that thing that the Titanic was going down was all started because of one moron named Elon Musk. So a lot of people lost millions of dollars in the last 2 days. And I'm sorry to see that that happened, because the guys that buy those on the dips is what it's called. So when you go from, what was it, 62,000 where Bitcoin was at, and now it cratered all the way down. I think it even spiked to well below 48, but only for a short period of time. But, it's back around 49, maybe it's at 50 this morning. I haven't really looked. But those individuals that bailed out in those big sell-offs, so that they were only losing maybe 10, maybe 15% of their hard-earned money, then the vultures are the ones that pick it up. And then when the float comes back in and they naturally rise it back up from 50 back towards 16 plus, then it's the vultures that get the profit from it. And the little people that needed that rise the most lost, because they just didn't know how to, just to hang on. So, that kind of stuff really irks me, but it is the ugly world that we live in, where too many people take advantage or make profits on the back of other people's less educated and less disciplined environments. So anyway, that's what's on my mind this morning. So I hope you're being smart. Hope you're hanging in there. Do your homework. There's no such thing as ever being able to give up on researching and learning. That's what I was doing yesterday between appointments and everything, was just listening and paying attention to the best channels I can. And you're like, Steve, I don't know which channels I'm supposed to listen to. What are the best ones? I would say, Real Vision's a great one on YouTube. It's the one I'm listening to right now. The other one, I love Laura Shin. It's a little more sophisticated, so you need a little more background in finance. But her channel called Unchained is really good. And then there's everything else out there is really a lot of garbage, a lot of hacks, a lot of people that don't have any real financial background that are just trying to pump their channel. One of them that's become the biggest one now is BitBoy, Ben, God, what's his last name? Anyway, he's got some good content, but he's always pumping his other relationships, and he's trying to get to 1 million subscribers. And, his narrative and everything it works for a lot of people that don't know what real finance is about. And anyway, he's probably not the best place to go. So I'll share some other places maybe in the comments down here if this is something you're really interested in learning. One of the guys yesterday that kind of unpacked all of the stuff on Elon and Tesla and showed us where they're making their profits. Those are the kind of individuals that I like, that know how to dig in, do that really type of investigative journalism, and basically pull the curtains back and show you the guy behind it is not really Oz, but it's a half-witted moron back there pulling levers. So keep your heads up, eyes on the ridgeline. Talk to you soon.